All right. Let me know if everyone can hear me okay, guys, please, if you can. Audio should be okay with this. I spent a little bit of time making sure it will be okay. So, good evening. How's everyone's Easter bank holiday? I hope you guys have all enjoyed the weather. I think we've been blessed, I would say, with the weather this weekend. So, welcome, everybody. Um, Let me know if you can hear me okay. Just give me a little thumbs up. Here we go. There, I got you. Thanks, Martin. Appreciate it. All right. Okay. So, live session. Time to answer some questions, have a little bit of an interaction with you guys. And then I'll talk about maybe some other stuff a bit later on before the live stream essentially finishes. But this will be an opportunity for you guys to, cheers, Meraki, sorry. Opportunity for you guys to ask some questions. So fire away as you can. As this gets busy, I'm going to give this about an hour because I'm conscious this is Sunday evening. Trying to be as efficient as possible. And it's our anniversary this weekend, and I really should not be doing this right now. So we've been together for 7 years, me and my partner, and we've been doing stuff during the day and everything like that. But this is a commitment that I obviously commit to. So as always, it's all about giving you guys as much value as possible. So let's go with the questions. Let's see what we've got here. Cheers. Thank you, Miraki. Right. Okay. You've got one question here. With an ISA, if you withdraw your gains during the year, are they all tax free? Yes, they are. That's the whole premise of an ISA and what an ISA is supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be free from capital gains tax, supposed to be free from income tax. So any gains that you withdraw from that will also be tax free. We use ISAs for income purposes as well. So it basically means that if you're drawing an income from an ISA, you're also going to get your income tax free as well. Now, ISA season obviously is next week. I think it is on, today's the 4th, isn't it? So it's on Tuesday. So really, guys, if you've not already made your moves for your ISAs prior to this weekend, you probably already missed it. But the new tax year starting on Tuesday means that you've got a fresh £20,000 that you can pay in. So I can't stress this enough, guys. Like, you have to use your allowance. If you don't use it, you're going to essentially lose it. So just be sure to make sure that you pay in whatever you can, as much as you can, as often as you can, or as little as you can, and just get into the habit of topping this up and making sure that you build this out, because your future self is going to thank you massively. So yeah, that's the answer to that question right there. As this gets busier, guys, again, if I don't get to your question, you want to fast track that question, you can use the super chat, and I'll use that as a thank you just to fast track your question as well. So let's see what else we've got. How easy is it to get your money? Oh, hang on a second. Let me just answer this one, and I'll come back to the one about the FCA here. So, can someone with a help to buy mortgage purchase a buy-to-let property? Yes, you can. So if you use the help to buy mortgage, the help to buy scheme, you will owe money obviously on the property. Well, the government owns a portion of the property, so you repay that back over a period of time. That doesn't prevent you from purchasing a buy-to-let property in any way, shape, or form. So no, it's not going to prevent you at all. All right, there is a question here from Kevin. How easy is it to actually get your money back from the FCA? There is a process to go through. They do take a little bit of time because they have to do their due diligence and obviously the influx. If a company actually fails, you've got to remember how many customers they're likely going to have contact them. So there is a process to go through. But most of these businesses, and this is why I always talk about the FCA and regulation and stuff, is that, it is there to protect you. So it is relatively easy, but there is a process to go through. So you just need to, if it does happen, which hopefully it wouldn't. It is there as a fail stop, by the way, guys, not as a luxury, I guess. I mean, you could kind of picture it as a luxury because we're one of the countries that do enjoy this kind of benefit. So it is easy, but you got to go through the process. Okay, I've already answered that one. I appreciate that, mate. No, thanks, food Ola. Really do appreciate that. Congratulations. Thanks, Ola. Elliot, let's see what you got here. Hi, I'm 18. Inherited some money whilst earning as well. I'm not sure what to do with it to get the best long term growth. Would your financial review or your one on one coaching be beneficial? Yes. What I would suggest for you, it depends on how much you've actually inherited. So I think for you, maybe your financial review would be best. I mean, you're 18, so actually go for coaching because the financial review is designed to kind of unearth other financial aspects. And because you're 18, you probably won't have a long financial history. So probably coaching would be best. But I can certainly point you in the right direction of, the kind of things to be thinking about, and maybe help you narrow down your providers, help you narrow down the options you have available to you, take you through a risk questionnaire, just so that you can kind of understand if you are going to invest this money, how you begin to invest in it, how you begin to invest it, and where to go from there. So I would say the coaching would be better than the financial review because the financial review might be a little bit too much for you. But yeah, cheers for that, Elliot. Hey, Sarah, how you doing? All right, so there's a question here from Meraki. So if I make 40K my ISA in one tax year as gains, they're all tax free. Do I still need to let HMRC know? No, you don't. When HMRC are informed of all of your ISA accounts, because your providers will basically take your national insurance number, so they automatically do the reporting. Again, guys, can't stress it enough. All of your gains in an ISA are tax free. Okay, all of them are tax free. Doesn't matter how much you make. Everything is tax free inside an ISA, which is why you would use an ISA in the first place. Okay. Duke of Delta, congratulations. Thank you, mate. Really do appreciate it. ISA allowance is there for richer people. How many people can put 20K in investments? Actually, you don't need to be wealthy to put 20K into an ISA, really, to be honest, mate. It's all about discipline more than anything else. Yeah, £20,000 is a lot of money, but it's not there for rich people. It is there for everybody. So this is a mentality shift that I have to stress, right? The reason why oftentimes people don't use their allowances is because people think investing is for wealthy people. No, it's not. It is there for everybody to use. Now, let's just put this into context, right? So if you were, really, really stringent and really, really strict with your spending, yeah? And let's just say you manage to invest £5,000 every single year. You're getting caught up with 20,000 being a large number. Forget the number. The allowance is up to £20,000. But if you're able to save, £5,000 into an ISA every single year, right? After 5 years, you've got 25K there automatically. It's not the amount that matters, it's the amount and its relevance to you. Yeah, 20K is a large amount of money for some people, right? And it is a large amount of money for me as well. Having 20K lying around to have in there, that is a large amount of money, but it's not just for rich people. Anybody can do this. One of the things that I wish that I learned, way earlier on in life was, just put 50 quid, 100 quid, 200 quid, whatever it is you could afford away on a monthly basis. Those little things right there means that over the course of a number of years, you have quite a bit of money stacked up. Then you start factoring in, if you've invested it properly and, made right decisions, you then get the compounding effect on top of that. And all of a sudden it gives you options. This is what this is all about at the end of the day. It's all about options and the options that money can give you, that money can present you with. The idea of, being able to invest money on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis using your ISA allowance is, again, it is a little bit of a luxury, but at the same time, I would like people to view it as a necessity because it should be a necessity. This money piling up over a period of time will really make a difference in the long run. And, it's not just for rich people. Anybody can do this. Anybody can walk into a bank. Anybody can open a trading 212 or a free trade or a Hargreaves Lansdown or a Vanguard account and start, contributing into an ISA. We need to, have a look at that mindset and think, it's not just for rich people. To be honest, rich people, £20,000 for them, they'll be looking at other ways in which you can invest money because of the volumes that they're looking at. They'll be looking at other ways that they can invest money because for many people, £20,000 will be restrictive. I mean, look at footballers, for example, right? So the likes of Dele Alli, Rashford, and all those guys were earning, 100 odd K a week. £20,000 as allowance to those guys to save into the ISA. It's actually quite restrictive. And we can talk about pensions and stuff like that as well. I had a conversation on the podcast that I recorded on the weekend, actually, which will be out, I think, later on this week for somebody else. We talked about pensions specifically and lifetime allowances and so on and so forth. The government does certain things to try and control the inequality that we see in society. There is a question of whether they do it effectively. And when I say control it, as in controlling how much people can put in, that is purely because at the end of the day, what they don't want is they don't want people, sorry guys, I just dropped out there. They don't want wealthy people stacking millions and millions and millions of pounds into completely tax-free environments like your ISAs, for example, or maybe your pensions as well, and essentially having that gap extend even further. Again, there's a debate as to whether they're doing this effectively or not. That's for another conversation at another time. But it's really, really important to know it's not just for rich people. Like, it is relative and it is subjective, but it's not for rich people. It is for everybody. Everybody can do that. And at least that's what I'd like to put across on the channel anyway. Just wanted to say a quick welcome, actually, to a couple of people. Let me just go back up. So Daniel Knight, you just joined the members group as well. Appreciate that, mate. If you haven't got the links to the downloadables that you get as part of that members group, ping me a message on IG or just email me and I'll provide you the links. You should have them there already, but if you haven't, please do let me know. And welcome as well to Tom. Tom, welcome to the investors group. So on the investors group, Tom, definitely ping me a message. You should see in the members area, we've got a link to the Discord group, and you also get access to the investment course as well. So if you've not got those two things, let me know, ping me a message on IG, and I can send you those links. But on the members group, we meet every Sunday at 8 p.m. We gave it a bit of a break this week because obviously people have got plans and stuff like that. But we talk a lot about stocks and we do stock analysis within that members group. So welcome, Tom. Right, let me just see where we are. I've just skipped a load of messages and comments on here. Where were we at the last one? All right, there is a question here. Hey, mate, how you doing? Do you think Trading 212 will start accepting new members when the new tax year starts in order to get potential stocks and shares ISA customers? I would have thought that they would have already opened them up, but it seems to me like they've got a massive backlog still. I don't know. Trading 212. Oh, yeah, so, Tom. Yeah, you just renewed your card. Sorry, mate. Yeah, I thought I recognised the name there. It's weird, really, with Trading 212. There hasn't really been a peep out on them. I mean, I've tried to monitor their community, and there's not really any updates in there, to be honest. I think there's a speculation that they are looking at the operational side of the business and trying to firm that up before they invite new customers. But I don't know. That's just speculation right now. We don't know. Possibly. But will they open up in time for the new tax year? To be honest, if they're going to do that, it needs to be open tomorrow. But they've got a huge backlog at this point in time. So who knows what's going to happen. But I would hope so. I think, fingers crossed, I hope so. But who knows? If Trading 212 goes bust, for example, do you only get how much ever you have invested in Trading 212 to get the value of however much portfolio is going to? No, you only get up to £85,000, period. That's it. You don't get more than that. So if you had £100,000 in there, it's gone up to 120. It doesn't matter. You're only going to get up to £85,000. That's it. So that is the rule when it comes to the financial services compensation scheme. So that's always worthwhile bearing in mind when you're using a provider, that you do have that limit in terms of how much you're able to have recovered under compensation schemes, so on and so forth. So worthwhile bearing in mind, you're not going to get your portfolio if it's £120,000 plus your £20,000 growth. If you've got less than that, you've got potential growth on top of that. It's up to £85,000 that you can get covered for. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, this is a good one. It's from Sheikh. Hey Pete, I've heard of a few people opening multiple trading accounts like Trading 212 and eToro, then buying similar stocks on both. Tesla on both stock. Is there any benefit to this? Not really, no. You're buying unless there is you're saving it in one place, maybe spread. So I know eToro, they charge spreads. Trading 212, with the way they used to operate, I think they're going to bring in more costs. You may have paid a little less on the spread, but there is, beyond any cost advantages, there aren't really that many benefits to buying, holding trading to Tesla on Trading 212 than Tesla on eToro. Aside from the fact that maybe you're spreading across two providers. So if you're buying quite a bit of Tesla over and above the £85,000, for example, then at least you know that you're going to have that £85,000 protection across two providers. That's often a consideration when people are looking to invest quite significant sums of money, but you never really know within the context that people are approaching. But if you only invest in small amounts of money, there isn't really that much benefit unless there's a significant benefit in how much it's going to cost you to actually acquire those shares. But yeah, not really, mate. Not really at all. All right, guys, do us a favor. There's only 13 likes. There's 77 of you on here at this point in time. So let's see if we can get those likes up. Let's see if we can get them up to maybe about 30 or so in the next couple of seconds. That would be great if you can, please. Let's see, where are we? Hey, Let's, how you doing? Southpaw, let's have a look and see what you got here. Because you can only contribute £4,000 to a LISA, can you also contribute £16,000 to, for example, a stocks and shares ISA in the same tax year as they are different ISAs? That is correct. Your £20,000 is across all of the 5 kind of ISAs that you have available. I did a definitive breakdown of the ISA rules on Friday. Go and watch that video. It is a little bit long, but it covers the rules under different aspects. So withdrawals, transfers, contributions. I covered lifetime ISA specifically as well. Moving abroad, I also explained in there. So go and watch that video. It will explain everything in there. There's a question. Do dividends come off your ISA allowance? Okay, guys, like I've said, ISAs are free from dividend tax. It is free from capital gains tax. It's free from income tax. It's free from pretty much all tax. It's completely tax free. So even if you are getting dividends within your ISA portfolio, it is completely irrelevant. Okay, an ISA is completely tax free. So please bear that in mind when it comes to your ISAs. There is a comment here. Let's just see this. Hi, can you help me, please? If you have a question, type them in here, DB, and I will come back to them. I know you followed up here. Good channel. I'm just trying to scroll down to see if you have a question. DB, if you have a question, just type it in here, and I should be able to get round to it in the next within the next hour or so. Well, let's just go back up here. A Wills is asking, am I on Clubhouse? Yes, I am on Clubhouse. However, to be fair, I've not really utilized it as much. There are a lot of rooms in there, and I'm trying to figure out how I would use it to the most effect. I've been in a couple of rooms, and I like the way it's structured. I like that you can, create your own stage. You can bring people up on stage and so on and so forth. I do like that. But I'm still trying to figure out how I would actually use it. The rooms that I feel that are most popular on Clubhouse seem to be property ones, and then a load of stuff about millionaire mindset and all this kind of stuff, which is all great. I'm just trying to figure out how I carve out my own space to that, if that makes any sense. And also I've got to think about the time of actually running rooms on Clubhouse as well, because what I'm finding now is that time is becoming more and more and more of a challenge for me to be able to to manage across all the things that I want to do and I am doing currently. So there are certain things that I'm having to move around, but I am on Clubhouse. I'm not really utilizing that at the moment. So yeah, Wills. Yeah, there's a follow up question on here, comment on here. Yeah, in the real world, go around the country and see how many people have 20K spare. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, this is all relative, mate. It's important to understand it's not about the amount that is there, and I say this all the time, right? So one of the things that I wish that I'd learned really, really early on in life was actually get into the habit of being able to save money. And just that simple thing of setting up a standing order or direct debit to go into an investment provider for whatever purpose, for investing for the short term or for the long term. That habit of actually sending the money across for me is what I wish I'd learned a lot earlier, because inevitably, if you are working in a business or working in a career, you will begin to earn more money. And there are so many ways in which you can earn more money now with side hustles in the digital world, so on and so forth. As you earn more money, that habit will pay you dividend, because it means that you'll have more money available to essentially send via that direct debit, via that standing order, that habit that you've already cultivated in those years when you weren't earning as much. And if you look at the UK, what is the average wage? Yes, you can argue that average wage is probably about 25,000-30,000 pounds a year. But then you could say that house deposits are too expensive for people, because the average house price now is what, 200,000 roughly in the UK. So you need 20K for a deposit. I think a lot of the time when you approach this, more than anything else, is not that the amount is too big. I think sometimes the habits that we have and the habits that we develop as adults when it comes to our finances are not conducive to being able to save that level of money. Because I guarantee you, if push really came to shove and someone said, right, you need to be able to save 10 grand a year, people would find a way to do it, because they would think more consciously about how they actually manage their finances in a way that gives them the ability to save that money on a monthly basis. And this is it's a part of it's about discipline, part of it's about habits and practice. And in order for you to break an old habit of not being able to look at your money or budget effectively and really monitor that on a regular basis, that takes discipline to be able to form a habit of being able to do that as a new practice. And it is hard fought. It really, really is, because I used to be exactly like that. I used to just spend money without really thinking about it. But ultimately, it's about the discipline and just trying to get into that habit of making sure that whatever it is that we're earning, whether it's large or small, and this is another thing as well. Part of it is understanding that everybody's on a journey. Where you are today isn't going to be where you're going to be in 5 years' time, right? You're probably earning more money, you'll make progression, so on and so forth. And somebody else looking up at you or looking at you will believe and want to be in your position. And it's relative, and a lot of it is mindset. That's one of the big things that I had to change myself, is the mindset of actually, you know what? I am working really, really hard. I want to do X, I want to do Y. I need to manage my money accordingly to ensure that I can take advantage of things like the ISA allowances, so on and so forth. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It is relative across the country, particularly now with COVID and redundancies and stuff like that. But I think there's a lot to be said around the way our mindset works in terms of how we actually spend our money and utilize our money. If we're a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more structured around how we finance, how we treat our finances, I think you'll be very, very surprised at the kind of surplus cash that actually falls through our fingers every single month, because oftentimes we just spend money without really thinking about it, because it's so easy to do now. I'm just looking for the next question. Okay, so there is one from Elaine here. Let me just double check. I mean, you started this saying, Pete, I have two ISAs. I'm just looking for the follow up here. Um, okay, let's have a look at this one from Adam. I have 2 years left on my mortgage. I have two options: either take a risk, invest 40K with these 2 years in index funds whilst keeping the mortgage payments, or stick to my plan to pay it off in 2 years. Okay, mate, if you're going to invest, if you're going to invest for 2 years, I would really think twice. 2 years is way too short of a time period for you to throw 40K into the stock market with your mortgage. If it has to be paid off in 2 years, I wouldn't even bother, mate. I'll just pay off the mortgage because the risk is way too high. What happens if you put your money in, then the next year or so we have a financial crash or a correction? What are you going to do then with the mortgage repayments? So I would, if you're looking to invest for 2 years, I wouldn't bother. I would literally take that money, pay off the mortgage. That's what I would do personally. Again, this isn't financial advice, but the investment time period that you're thinking about there is way too short. Way too short. Your risk is going to be way through the roof, and you need to think about the downside. Investing is about managing your downside to give you the upside of being able to make money on the markets, not going in thinking I can make a lot of money or I can make profit hopefully with this and then be able to pay off my mortgage and have some extra. You've got to think about the downside. The downside is if you invest it today and the market crashes and you lose 10 grand, for example, okay, and it doesn't recover for another 2.5 years, does that 10 grand make a huge difference to your actual plan? So you say you have 2 years left on your mortgage. Do you have to pay it off? Obviously, I don't know how old you are or anything like that because age will come into this. But I would say if you're looking to invest for 2 years, don't bother. The risk is way too high. Just pay off the mortgage and give yourself some peace of mind. That's what I would. That's what I would do. Let's have a look at this one. Looking at lumping 20K in this tax year. Is this possible with the market shut? I was in the house market, but no. You won't be able to get it in now, mate. It's bank holiday weekend, and for you to do a transfer, it will take a few days for that transaction to go through. So you won't get it in this current tax year that we're about to end. You will get it in for the new tax year, though. But yeah, I mean, it's too late. It does take time for these transactions to go through, unfortunately. It is never instantaneous because when you send money to someone like Vanguard, for example, it will go into an account with them. They then have to apply it to your account and they can't retrospectively do that, particularly over a bank holiday weekend. So that's why you need to be a little bit prepared. You need to give at least 2 to 3 working days, really, for them to be able to receive it, allocate it to you. They also need to invest it as well. So that also takes time. So no, you won't get it in this side of the tax year, but you will be able to get it in for the new tax year. Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Lord, let's have a look here. How you doing? If I put 5K in total in a trading 212 ISA when the tax year ends, does that mean I can no longer add any money to the ISA forever? No, you've got an allowance every single tax year essentially, which is £20,000. If you missed it this year, the new tax year starts on April the 6th, which is Tuesday. So you can pay that 5K in. It will just apply to your new tax year allowance. But obviously this current tax year will be gone and lost, but your 5K will go towards your allowance for the new tax year. Jonathan, let's have a look at this one. I opened a trading 212 stocks and shares ISA last year and was planning to open a Vanguard stocks and shares ISA soon. Will I be allowed to add into both at the same time? No, you can only add into one kind of stocks and shares ISA every single tax year. So you can't have a trading 212 stocks and shares ISA and a Vanguard stocks and shares ISA and contribute to them in the same tax year. So if you opened your trading 212 last year, so this year currently that is going to end on Monday, tomorrow, that's fine. But in the new tax year, you cannot, if you go and open a Vanguard one, you can't pay into the Vanguard and the trading 212 one. You have to pick which one you're going to use. So I hope that helps. Medley, let's have a look at this one. Hey Pete, I watched your video on pensions versus LISA, but I'm still unsure on the numbers. I have £4,000 to invest. I want to know if I'm better off putting it into a lifetime ISA or stocks and shares ISA. Your thoughts? It depends. Why are you looking at the lifetime ISA? It's hard for me. I can't answer that until I know why you're looking to put it into a lifetime ISA. I assume it's for retirement. So if you're looking to put it into a fund for retirement, then an ISA, a stocks and shares ISA, isn't for retirement. A lifetime ISA is for retirement. You can have a stocks and shares lifetime ISA, so I would go down that route. Um, I don't know for sure, Medley. Maybe you need to give me a little bit more context because it's hard to ascertain. I need to know the reason why you're putting it in. If it's for pension, like income in retirement, then you need to go with a lifetime ISA stocks and shares. I like this, Cat. Thank you very much. People, have you smashed the like button? If you have not smashed the like button already, please do help me out because the YouTube algorithm will wait to this and maybe not show this to other people. And believe it or not, as much as it's frustrating sometimes, with you do a lot of work and then the YouTube algorithm doesn't end up pushing a video, it can actually dent the channel as well. So they'll have a look at it and be like, oh, people don't enjoy the stuff that he puts out, so they don't push it farther and further for other people like you to kind of like find it, which is why I always stress the like button. So if you haven't already, please do. T's just said there, smash. Thank you very much. Cheers, Kevin. Herring. Are the American markets open tomorrow? I would imagine not. I mean, they celebrate Easter too. I don't know whether they have Monday as a bank holiday though or not. I'm not sure, mate. They may or may not be. I don't know. DeJohn, how you doing? Compound interest is a great tool. What is the main thing to consider when taking advantage of it? Time is your friend with compound interest. The effects of compound interest are seen so much more vividly when you're investing over a longer period of time. And the best word I would ask guys to kind of demonstrate this is to go onto a compound interest calculator, for example, right? And just put in an amount and double the term that you're investing over, right? So put a 10-year term and a 20-year term, put a rate of interest, and literally just see how impactful and how big the difference is investing for 10 years versus 20 years when you look at compound interest. Biggest time is your friend with this. So yeah, you get a little bit of compound interest investing for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but at 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, those numbers are absolutely huge. So yeah, this is a good question. Come on. So if I had to start at zero tomorrow, do you think saving or investing would be the best way to start? Really depends. So if you have no emergency fund, you need to save an emergency fund first. That goes without saying, because you shouldn't really be investing in the stock market if you don't have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is just going to give you that cushion to make sure that, if you did need money and the markets are down, you haven't got to cash in your investment potentially at a loss. So I would strongly, strongly encourage you to start saving an emergency fund first. Ideally, you want somewhere between maybe 3 to 6 months worth of an emergency fund. That will mean that you have the luxury of knowing you haven't got to worry. Should you lose your job, being able to work, that you can cover your bills for 3, maybe 6 months. After that, then start investing. Start with your ISAs first, keep it tax free. Make sure that you're using that allowance to start off with. But yeah, I would save an emergency fund first and foremost, then begin investing via your ISAs. Okay, let's have a look at this. Okay, I have over 20K in one of my ISAs and 20K in a high interest account, which did not give me much interest as the ISA. Do you combine the high interest account with the ISA? Potentially, but there are a number of variables within this, really, to be honest. You can add it to the ISA, not a problem at all. I'm guessing your ISA, is it stocks and shares? Is it cash? I don't know. I mean, the 20K that you've got in the high interest account right now will obviously utilize your allowance for the new tax year. That's fantastic. So you can do, absolutely. That is definitely an option for you to do if it's going to give you better rates of interest. And it will be, even aside from that, if it's in a high interest account that isn't an ISA, even though it's not going to give you a ton of interest, right? You're going to be keeping it tax free. So it's pretty much automatic. Just put it into the ISA and you'll use it to use your allowance for this new tax year on Tuesday. Okay, let's have a look at. There's one here from Mark Wells. Let's have a look at this question. If you had 30K to invest, would you put the full amount straight in, or would you drip feed it into your investment? What I would do isn't what you should do, Mark. So you need to bear in mind you need to do what is comfortable for you. I would put the full amount in, because drip feeding it, you're looking for pound cost averaging with that, but all the numbers basically tell us that if you invest a lump sum, that tends to perform better over the long term, more than anything else, more than dripping money into the markets on a monthly basis. So I would put the full £30,000 in. Doesn't mean you should. It depends on what you're investing in. It depends on obviously your risk profile. It depends on a number of factors, and obviously your money is at risk if you're investing. So bear that in mind. But I would put the full 30K in, and just let it ride the markets. Let's have a look at this. Does rental income count if you want to open a SIPP account with free trade? I don't know what you mean, mate. I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? In what context does it count? I Can you clarify the answer for me, Ivy, and I'll come back to you. So look at this one from Ahmad. Hey mate, I want to start investing. I have 4K. I want to invest. Where's a good place to start? Your ISAs are a good place to start because it will keep it tax free. Just bear in mind that if you are just starting out, provider selection is really, really important. If you don't know how to pick your own stocks, really you shouldn't be going anywhere near trading 212. And you really shouldn't be going anywhere near any of the providers that will allow you to buy individual stocks. You need to know what you're doing. So you start with an ISA. Definitely start with an ISA. Keep it tax free, but do your due diligence around how you're going to invest, and make sure that you understand all of the options that are available to you. Because based on what you do on a day-to-day basis, whether you have time to learn all the factors that are involved, and a number of other things, will determine how you invest the money. Whether you use trading 212, whether you use a hybrid and pick, your own ETFs and your own index funds with the likes of Vanguard or Fidelity, for example, or even Hargreaves Lansdown, or whether you go down the route of just outsourcing it to somebody else like Moneybox or Money Farm or someone like that. So make sure you understand how you're going to invest. But if you're going to start anywhere, start with your ISAs. Okay, here's one from Kevin. Let's have a look at this. I've never had a credit card and I don't exactly need one, but is there any real benefits of having one? A credit card will help you build your credit rating. So if you haven't got a credit rating, it becomes harder and harder for you to be able to get things on credit. So car finance, buying a house, for example, you need a credit score, a credit rating to be able to purchase a house or to get car finance, that kind of stuff. So credit cards can help you get on the road, but I think if you're going to be using credit cards to help you build and create a credit rating or credit score, you need to approach credit cards with an air of discipline. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to use it, spend a nominal amount, £20, £40, whatever that is, and just pay it straight off. Don't keep a balance on it. Many people, this is the misconception that many people have with credit cards, that if you keep a balance on it, that it's naturally good. It can go against you. So use it, pay it off all in one go. And maybe do that for maybe like 6 months to a year. That will start to build up your credit rating. But your credit rating is really, really important. It's how banks know that you're credit worthy, that they can lend you money with confidence, knowing that you're going to pay it back. So yeah, credit cards can be used for that. They can be a real benefit to help you build and create a credit rating if you haven't already got one. Let's have a look at this one right here. Learn to trade, best thing you can do. No one can take it from you. Then go to property, maybe. I'll tell you what, learning how to trade or learning how to invest is an important skill. I think it's really important to acknowledge, though, that trading is very, very different to investing. Do not get those two things confused in any way, shape, or form. You need to take the time when you're learning how to trade. Many people think that you can just, start trading and you're going to be a success overnight. That is not the case. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. Then go to property, maybe. I would say that you need to be careful with property. There's a Clubhouse, lots of property people in there at the moment. I sat on a panel a couple of weeks ago for property talk. They all talk about acquiring property, which is great. It's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Property is very, very tax inefficient and it's not very liquid. With investments, you gain the ability to be tax efficient. You gain the ability to be liquid as well, so you can easily cash in your investment. So when you're using these asset classes, because property is an asset class, you need to make sure that you remember that you need to use your asset classes in the right way, at the right times, and in the right methods. So just make sure that you bear that in mind. I'm just looking for my next question. Jack, I'm good, mate. We need to catch up, really, to be fair, mate. I saw your message on WhatsApp the other day. And yeah, I've just been really, really busy, pal. So we need to catch up at some point. Let's have a look at this from Ahmad. Okay, so this is for your lifetime ISAs. In the video, which videos have I done? I've done a ton of videos on lifetime ISAs. So essentially, with a lifetime ISA, your limit is 4K. When you pay in 4K or whatever amount you pay into your lifetime ISA, you essentially get 25% from the government. That's really as simple as it is, mate. So the government allows you within a lifetime ISA to pay £4,000 into that account. If you're paying £1,000, you're going to get £250 from the government. If you're paying £4,000, you're going to get £1,000 from the £1,000 from the government free. That is for the purpose of either purchasing your first home or for retirement planning. One of the two. You have to give the money back if you don't use that money for a house purchase or you don't use it for retirement. So in other words, if you're not using it for a house purchase and you withdraw it before the age of 60, you need to give back whatever bonus you got from the government. So there is a charge there. It's really that simple. But there are ISA videos specifically where I talk about that and I break it down into a little bit more depth than the video that I did on Friday. The one on Friday was really targeted at the rules specifically because I get so many questions on the rules. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Okay, I thought I'd answer this. Bear me one second. Let me just do a clarification on this. So you have one ISA with over £20,000 and one high interest account with over £20,000. Could you merge the high interest? You can, but you've got to be mindful of the difference. So if you've got £22,000 in your high interest account, obviously you can only pay £20,000 of that into an ISA. So yes, merge the two. Okay, you can merge the two. So if it's in a high interest account and it's not within an ISA wrapper, you simply just do a transfer into your ISA for your allowance for the new tax year. You won't be able to pay more than the £20,000 anyway. But the point is, if it's in a high interest account and it's outside of an ISA, you are going to be paying tax on the little bit of interest that you are getting. So it makes sense to basically merge the two together. So you, number one, using your allowance for the new tax year, and you're getting the money into a tax-free environment as well. So yeah, definitely try and do the two. There's a question here from Herring. Can you still trade with previous year's ISAs alongside your new ISAs? Yes, you can. They can still be traded. They can still be invested. So it's active money. Just because the tax year has moved on doesn't mean that money then becomes dormant. It's still within your control. So you can still invest it. You can still trade it. You can still do whatever you want with it as long as it's inside that ISA wrapper. So you still have full reign and full control over it. This is a question. As far as I know, no, you cannot transfer from Invest Trading 212 to ISA Trading 212, Roy. They don't allow you to do that. So that's one downside with Trading 212. Unfortunately, you can't transfer between the two. Okay, here's a follow up here. Adam, 43, currently investing for 5K a year in index funds, but I have the option to pay off the mortgage in 2 years, then we'll be mortgage free after to invest 20. Okay, so mate, if you're investing for 2 years, it's way too short of a term, mate. The risk is way too high. Again, look, it's not my money; it's up to you. But if I were in your shoes, investing for 2 years, I wouldn't bother. The risk is way too high. The question you have to ask yourself is: if there is a market crash, how are you going to feel if you lose 10K and you have to wait another 3-4 years for it to recover? You've got time, obviously, so you're going to continue to work and everything, but it really depends on what number one your priorities are, what your plans are for life, which I don't know at this point in time. There are a number of variables involved in here, but if it's simply just asking me if you're going to invest for a 2 year time frame, no. If it's going to give you better peace of mind and just paying off the mortgage, I would argue that it probably would. I don't want you to go and invest for 2 years, the market crash, you lose 10K, then you've got to, continue to pay the mortgage, and maybe you're kicking yourself because you had the opportunity to pay off the mortgage, but you didn't because you took a punt on the market. So it's a difficult one, mate. But I would say, to start off with, 2 years is way too short of an investment term. It's way too risky. So this is a medley for retirement, yes, but I also have a workplace pension already. Then I would say, I think this is the LISA question, isn't it? I would say you're better off paying into your workplace pension rather than paying into a lifetime ISA. Number one, because of costs, some of the workplace schemes are capped in terms of how much they can actually charge you. Whereas with some lifetime ISA providers, you would have to do a comparison of the costs between their offering with whichever provider you select, sorry, and your workplace scheme. There's quite a few. There's quite a few variables in there, so this is a very high level answer. But given what I know about workplace schemes, I would argue that you're better off putting it into a workplace pension than into a lifetime ISA, unless you think that you're going to need access to the money at some point in the near future. If you are, then you can put it in, but you're not going to get the bonus from the government because with a lifetime ISA, you can't access it for retirement purpose until the age of 60. With a pension, it's accessible at 55. So there's pros and cons there. Not a direct answer. I hope that helped, but there's way too much to kind of cover in the nuances. Literally, we would need to do a checklist of your situation and what you're looking to plan for to be able to say, right, you should do this one rather than that one. And that's not something we can do via the live session here. There are quite a few points to consider in that. Yeah, so I think Maraka has just done this. Like, guys, go and do it because it will blow your mind how much of an impact compound interest makes over the long term. It is absolutely huge. Let's have a look at this question here. We've got 10 more minutes on this, guys. I've saved all my life, work very hard running my own business, have very little time free, but just paid off my mortgage. My friend has 7 properties financed on buy to let and lots of time. Yeah, I mean, because it depends whether he's outsourcing or not. I can't comment on obviously his work life balance. You probably know that better than I do. But I think in this equation, it's all about the use of your resources when you have your resources available to you. And then when I say resources, I mean money. So running a business is not difficult. It's not a hard. It's not an easy thing to do. Social media will have you believe that it is absolutely easy, that you have to be an entrepreneur to be able to do really, really well. I would argue that maybe one of the differences that most people will find in life is some people know how to use their resources better than others. i.e., the money that we earn. So he didn't just wake up one day with 7 properties. He would have planned this, unless he's inherited money through his own family. I would argue that probably he's just really saved money for that first property that he's got on a buy to let, and he's probably just done what every other property investor basically does, and all the wealthy people that I know who are into property buy the first property, equity release by the second one, equity release by the third one, equity release by the fourth until he gets to the seventh one. It's all about the use of resources, use of money. He would have had to save, I would argue, for that first deposit, for that first property, and go through that. Running a business is really, really hard. And this is why I always say money is a tool, life is for living. You spend so many years running a business, you earn money whilst you're doing it. I've got friends who are in this cycle as well. The money that you earn, where is that going? What is it being used for? Is it being used to acquire properties, to acquire investments, to give you back the time later on in life? Because let's face it, we're all trading time. And this is one of the misconceptions that people say as well, that, as an entrepreneur, you're not trading time for money. Yes, you are. As an employee, you're trading time for money. You are trading your time for a lifestyle or desires that you have, a vision that you have for the future. The resources that we acquire now, though, help us to build what we want. If you acquire and use resources right now to build something for the future, either investments or in property, then you're going to get to a point where actually your friend is right now, where he has more time because the money that he has earned and he's acquired and he has used is now kicking up more cash for him to free up time. It's a really, really tough balance to be able to strike. But I blame the fact that we don't learn any of this in school. At the end of the day, this is what it all boils down to. And I would argue that even, some of our habits sometimes don't necessarily allow us to utilize our resources, utilize our money in the most efficient way, because we just don't know how. And that's the reason why I do this on YouTube, to hopefully help people understand how to utilize resources for the better. I know, Kev, I feel you, mate. I really, really do. Right, this is a good question. What's the best account to put an emergency fund into? Put an emergency fund into a cash account. Yes, it sounds counterintuitive. Yes, it sounds stupid, but that is the simple answer to the question. Your emergency fund should always be available to you in case of emergency. Don't invest your emergency fund because it will go up and down. And, even worse, if you invest your emergency fund and you needed access to it over, really, really quickly, it's going to take you anywhere between 3 to 5 days to get hold of that cash. So emergency fund needs to go into a normal account. If you can put it into a cash ISA, perfect. Won't get you a lot of interest, and that's what many people kind of snarl at and think, oh, this is ridiculous. But fact, forget about the interest for the time being. Think about it for the purpose that you need it for. You need it in case of an emergency. You don't want to be using credit cards, overdrafts, or debt in case of an emergency, because that's going to end up costing you more money. So instant access, cash is the best place for you to park your emergency fund. It always needs to be available at a moment's notice. Right, let's pick another, maybe two questions. Let's have a look at this one. I've a lifetime of HL stocks and shares ISA opened many years ago. I want to open a Vanguard in the new year. However, I have some loose cash in HL. Can I use that in HL? So not taking it out of HL. Okay, you can do a transfer. So if you go to Vanguard, you can do a transfer essentially, which will allow you to basically transfer an amount that you want. So because you'll be doing this in the new tax year, and this is the video from Friday will be helpful for you, Joy. Your money in Hargreaves Lansdown is from a previous tax year, so you can do a partial transfer. So you could ask them to say your loose cash that's in the H&L account, you can ask them to transfer that amount into your Vanguard account for the new tax year. Because it's from previous, you can do a partial. If it's in the current, you can't. So yes, you can utilize it, but you will need to ask a Vanguard to do a transfer for you specifically. So just bear that in mind. There is a question here from Sam on the super chat. Thanks, Sam. Let me just bring this up very quickly. 1 second, mate. Let me just find you. All right. Okay. Let's see this. Okay. Super chat. Thank you, mate. I've just invested £1,000 in Hargreaves Lansdown Portfolio Plus. I did it for income and at the highest risk. What should I expect? Thank you. Well, I don't know. Are you? Do you mean in returns? In terms of returns, that's hard to say. Pie in the sky, mate. I can't say what rate of return you should expect. It wholly depends on where it's been invested, how it's been invested, what regions it's invested in, what companies it's holding, whether it's got dividend yielding companies as the core or not. Really, really hard to bear in mind. If you have got it in there at the highest risk possible, though, you should definitely expect there is going to be volatility within that investment. It's going to go up and down quite a bit. So just be prepared for that. But in terms of rate of return, I can't tell you, mate. I would need to have a look at what the portfolio is. I mean, some of these funds will do at the high end of the risk will do anywhere between 10 plus, double digits maybe, but that may not be your experience. The market, because you can't predict what's going to happen with the market moving forward, it's hard to say what you can expect from a rate of return. I would just, I don't know how old you are, Sam, and what income you actually need. I would probably question why you invested it for income and not growth, because £1,000 you're not going to get a lot of income from £1,000 anyway. Even if you did get 10%, that's 10% per year. So when you break that down into monthly payments, it's not going to be a lot. So I would question: did you mean to invest it for income? If so, why is that income at 10%? I mean, look, 10% is going to give you 100 quid. Divide that by 12. It's only £8 a month, mate. So let's have a look at why you put it in there for income. I would say if you're young, and if you are young, I would argue that you probably should have put it in there for growth, because growth is what's going to really get you out there. Cheers, Sam. Let me know if that's helpful or not. Right, let me have a look and see if I can get one more in. Where are we? All right, there's a few funny comments in here. Hang on a minute. There is a trend going on here that I just need to find. 1 second. Let me just find the start of this. Let me just find the start of this. Okay, this has got to be a troll. I'm not going to pay any attention to that. Right, let's go with this. Where's the next one? Where is it? Let's go with this one. What are your thoughts on Motley Fool? Motley Fool are really, really good, mate. In terms of some of the analyst stuff that they put out and the intelligence they put out, it's really, really good, mate. So if you're using them as a source, they have a really good newsletter and stuff like that. So they're a really good source of information to use. Cool. All right. So I think that's it, really. That's an hour. Pretty much gone. That takes us up to 10:30. So yeah, guys, look, I appreciate you being on here Sunday evening. It's Easter weekend as well. Whatever you do tomorrow, make sure that you enjoy it. Hopefully we have good weather again tomorrow to make the most of it. It's a shame that everything's not open, right? Kind of wish that this was like the weekend, and I hope it is going to be like this the weekend of the 12th when everything opens up again, because the weather's been really, really nice. It would have been nice to just go and sit in a beer garden and just have a beer after all this time in lockdown. It would have been very, very nice to do that. But whatever you guys do tomorrow, make sure that you enjoy it. Lives, the next live should be in a couple of weeks' time. I don't know just yet whether I can commit to that one specifically. There's a couple of things that I'm looking to rejig on the channel just so that I've got a bit more time and efficiency to be able to do some of the other stuff that I do want to do. What I do know is that I have a themed set of videos and activity coming to the channel specifically on side hustles Amazon FBA, that will have a live Q&A session attached to it as well. But as and when I'm able to give further comments specifically on that, I will let you guys know. One thing that I did mention is that I do want to do a bit more when it comes to live streams like this. I need to figure out how I'm going to do that and what I'm going to do that on. So I did ask people for ideas or comments on what you would like me to cover in live streams, because this is enjoyable, but again, it's time. So I want to make sure that if I'm going to spend my time doing a live stream like this and spending an hour or so, that I'm going to get you guys actually interested in what I'm actually talking about, because the time and the effort I need to balance that with everything else that is going on at this point in time. So if you do have any suggestions, maybe you could do me a favor, actually. Any topics you would like me to cover on live sessions, please do let me know in the comment section right now, and I'll note these down. Or if not, on the community page, there is there's a post that I put in there just asking that same question. So I really would like to know what else you'd like me to speak about on the live sessions. Future live sessions will likely have some guests on. So I know that I've got one of my investment manager friends coming on at the moment, and this is a byproduct of an email that I received. It is going to be focused again on pensions, but it's going to be focused on pensions for those people who are 50 plus. Things to do if they are late to preparing for pensions. So Terry's going to come and speak specifically about that. But yeah, look, as and when I know what's going on, cheers guys for this. IPOs is one of them, CGT is another one of them as well. As and when I know what's going to happen with the next live stream, I will let you guys know. I've had a couple of people just giving me a couple of ideas. I don't want to say it at the moment, but it does make sense for me. But I don't know whether I can commit to that. I don't know. We'll see. But please stay tuned, guys. Appreciate your support. And yeah, guys, have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.